Kolton Miller's injury looks to be more serious than we expected and could miss the rest of the season. Should the Raiders move on from Geno Smith? And Pete Carroll sounds off on Geno Smith's recent performances.
Geno Smith would be bagging groceries if it wasn't for Pete Carroll.
Yo, what is up, Raider Nation? It's your boy Samora, back at it again with yet another video. If this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love Raiders content, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification icon button. That being said, let's start off with Kolton Miller. Now, we know that the offensive line has been struggling so far this season, but in this last game, they finally put it together, especially with JPJ coming back into the starting lineup. Now, I just feel like if it's not one thing, it's another. Now, we did see Kolton Miller go down with an injury late in the game, and of course my heart dropped, and I was hoping that this was not going to be something that serious. And we heard some updates yesterday from Ian Rapoport, but he came out with even more of an update on his injury, and it's not good, Raider Nation. Ian Rapoport tweeted out that Raiders offensive tackle Kolton Miller received bad news on his ankle following further testing. It's a high ankle sprain and a hairline fracture rather than just a sprain. The MRI revealed the sprain, a CT scan revealed a fracture. He's headed for the injured reserve and could possibly miss several weeks, if not the rest of the season, which is a huge blow to this offensive line. Not only are we losing an offensive lineman, but we're losing the best offensive lineman that we have on this team right now. And like I said earlier, just when we got things going, man, this just happens to our luck, man. Of course, I wish nothing but the best for Kolton Miller and his family, and hope he recovers well and hopefully soon. There might be a possibility he comes like at the end of the season, but at that point, who knows if the Raiders are even going to be competing for a playoff spot. I'm going into this situation not really expecting Kolton Miller to come back this year, which begs the question, who will be replacing him at left tackle? Now, we know that Pete Carroll has already come out and said that Stone Forsythe, who we just recently signed in the offseason, will be the guy to replace him. And if you've seen how Stone has been playing throughout his career, it ain't good. And it means that the Raiders offensive line could be struggling yet again.
Stone's played a lot of football and done a nice job for us since he's been here, and he would be the first choice. But this is an opportunity for Charles to make a charge for it, and we'll see how he does. He's done really well so far, so we'll see what happens.
Now, there is another chance that Charles Grant could start, but he's going to be competing for a starting spot. And for me, I'd rather go and just give Charles Grant a chance. Let's see what he can do out there than just putting the veteran Stone Forsythe out there, because we already know how he plays. Now, I know a lot of things can change. Maybe he'd probably be better here, but my expectations are not really that high. I feel like my expectations for this offensive line is pretty low. And it just sucks because, like I said, we just got the offensive line rolling in this last game in week 4 with JPJ back in the lineup. This offensive line gave up no sacks, no hits, no penalties. The first time that they've done that all season long. And now we're going into Indianapolis hoping for the best. And at this point, I feel like, hey, top 5 pick, here we come, man. It's going to be a long season, especially if this offensive line can't get going, if they can't pick up the slack. I've said it many times before, if the offensive line does not do their job, this team is not going to be good. And we've seen it a couple of times already, and I feel like we're going to see it a lot more moving forward. But Raider Nation, what are your thoughts on Kolton Miller possibly missing the rest of the season? Do you think it's a huge blow, or should I be a little bit more optimistic with this offensive line? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. That being said, let's talk about our quarterback a little bit. Now, of course, there's been a lot of slander, a lot of people getting at Geno Smith, especially for how bad he played in this last game. 3 interceptions, totally unacceptable. Now, I know that a lot of us wouldn't be really talking about it if we won the game, but since we lost, a lot of people are going to look at that. And there was a lot of missed opportunities out there for the Raiders to score more points and even come away with this W if the offense was able to put some scoring drives together in the air, at least for the passing game. I know there was a missed opportunity with Dante Thornton that he could have ran into the end zone if he caught the ball, or if Geno Smith just placed the ball a little bit better, it would have easily been a touchdown. Heck, I seen a different view where Brock Bowers was wide open in the corner of the end zone and Geno Smith just did not see him. Again, goes right back to Geno Smith's vision and how he's been playing in these past couple of weeks. It hasn't been good. And I hope that things do change. But he did address his play and took accountability for all the mistakes that he's made so far.
Preparation was there. Guys were dialed in. You saw how Ashton ran the ball today. You saw how the line played today. You saw how our guys were getting open and how our defense played inspired. How our crowd was electric throughout the game. And if you look at the difference in the game, it was the turnovers. So I mean, simply I got to be better.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I feel like we heard the same thing after the Chargers game. I'd rather see more action out there than just words. Because at the end of the day, we've heard this plenty of times, not just with Geno Smith, but with Gardner Minshew, Jimmy G, Derek Carr. The list goes on and on and on. The Raiders just can't seem to get things going, especially at the quarterback position. I know before we kind of blamed the offensive line because they were pretty bad, but this game was definitely on him. And I'm expecting him to play a lot better moving forward, especially when it comes to taking care of the ball. Now, it is good that Geno Smith is taking accountability, but it's also good to hear that Pete Carroll is not holding back on how he feels about Geno Smith's play as of late.
And so, how does the guy repay me for saving his life? Geno shows up in Vegas, loses 3 out of 4 games, including a 0-tutty performance against the Chargers. And tonight, the guy throws 3 picks, only puts up 100 yards, and basically gets bailed out by Ashton Jeanty and our defense. And so the rest of our team almost made up for Geno's utter incompetence. But on the last play of the game, special teams us with a block kick. Anyways.
Okay. In all seriousness, though, Raider Nation, of course, that was a whole AI thing, a whole AI bit. I thought it was just funny hearing it. But I've heard the question since Sunday. Should the Raiders move on from Geno Smith? I will say no, not yet. Of course, it's been bad. It's been hella bad the way he's been playing, and he's been holding this team back, holding drives back. I called him the drive killer because he was killing drives with those interceptions. But for the most part, I would just wait a little bit before we move on and just call the panic button on everything, because I wouldn't want to just throw Kenny Pickett out there or even LC in there right now. We still got Geno Smith. Let her ride out, and hopefully we play better. You look at this last week, everything else was going, and we had a chance to win. We just didn't come away with the win. If he continues to play like this up until the bye week, then we definitely got to find an answer somewhere else. Whether it's trading for somebody else, whether it's starting Kenny Pickett, whether it's starting AOC, maybe even calling up Cam Miller, I don't know. But as of right now, I'm sticking with Geno Smith and just hoping that the run game gets going, that the offensive line holds up, and the defense continues to play as good as they've been playing. Because I feel like the team that we've seen on Sunday is good enough to win a couple more games under Geno Smith. Now, the last thing I do want to kind of talk about is the new running back duo that we have here in Las Vegas. About damn time we've seen Raheem Mostert out there. And I know we've been waiting and wondering where he was at, but in his first game as a Raider, to be that RB2 right behind Ashton Jeanty, he complements him perfectly. He only had 4 carries for 62 yards, had a 37-yard run, and he showed his patience out there, changing the pace out there for this offense. Zamir White definitely wasn't doing that. Dylan Laube was definitely not doing that. But Ashton Jeanty with Raheem Mostert, I think, is a perfect duo over here in Las Vegas. And I feel like the running game is starting to get going. Not only that, of course, let's talk about Ashton Jeanty. Switching up his stance. Now he's standing up. I don't recall the Raiders even talking about it, or even Ashton Jeanty talking about it going into this game. But it looks like he was like, F it. I'm going to stand up, be comfortable with what I've been able to do in college, moving into the NFL, and he showed out. Now, I know that there could be a lot of things that go into that, but heck, 155 yards on the ground in the first game that he shows up with that stance, you might as well keep it, Oos. Overall, I do feel a little bit more confident in the running game moving forward. Now, the offensive line, we'll have to wait and see how that pans out, but to see what they did in this last game, 240 yards on the ground. We've been struggling all year on the ground, but to see one showing like this, hopefully we can continue to do that in these next couple of games. Now, with all that being said, as Raider fans, should we be pressing the panic button right now? I was asked this before, and I will say no yet again. It's early on in the season. It's too soon for us to press the panic button. A lot of teams have turned their seasons around in just a couple of games. And if you really look at what the Raiders did this past week, they did a lot more right than they did wrong. Of course, Geno Smith did horrible. The special teams led up, that big block at the end, but the Raiders still had a chance to win. And I seen a lot of good things. The run game was solid. The defense was solid. The offensive line held up. The Raiders have just got to put it all together for one game and just continue to go game by game by game. And I feel like we could turn our season around. I wouldn't press the panic button just yet, but what do you guys think, Raider Nation? Would you press the panic button on the Raiders season, or are you guys still going to fight through and hope that this team turns it around? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next video, this is your boy, Small Raider, and your boys, yeah.